If you want to start building wealth and you consider yourself a beginner in personal finance, then this video is for you. My name is Lissa, and I'm a certified financial planner and an accredited financial counselor. But here's the thing. I did not always know what I know now. I used to believe that working hard was the ultimate secret to success and making money and building wealth. Now, while hard work can play a role on that whole path, it is not the key. Spoiler alert, the key to wealth is investing, which I'll touch on later on in the video. Now, I can thank my blue-collar immigrant parents for instilling in me the value of hard work. Don't get me wrong, I am grateful for the lessons I learned about how to be productive, how to hustle when I need to, and how to get things done. But if I look back, I have to acknowledge that my parents were in survival mode, as is the case for other people in the working class, other immigrant families, other people who didn't start off their lives with wealth. So unfortunately, nobody taught my parents the various things that they could do with their money to build long-term wealth. And because of that, they couldn't teach me about the stock market or business or other wealth building strategies. They simply didn't have the tools or the knowledge to rely on anything except earned income, money that you work hard for. You work hard for money, and then you are able to make money and then live a decent life. So for me, for a long time, I thought that that was my only option. I thought that I was supposed to get a good education, get a good job, and work really hard. But everything changed when I came to the realization that working hard and building wealth might be correlated, but it is not causation. It is not that you work hard and then you are guaranteed wealth. And when I realized all this, it became clear that I had to go through an entire shift with how I looked at money. So for the last 6-7 years or so, I've been on my journey of building wealth and also healing my relationship with money. And let me tell you, it feels great. It feels great to be on the other end of it and continuing to learn and grow, and no longer feeling like I am subject to working for the rest of my life, unhappy and not making enough. So what I want to cover in this video for you beginners who want to build wealth, who would love to have financial security and love to have financial freedom, what I want to share with you first and foremost is how to shift from an earning mindset to an investing mindset. I believe that making this shift over time will help you towards wealth, especially if no one ever taught you how to become wealthy and all you were taught was something similar to me, where you just got to work hard and eventually you'll be wealthy. So I want to start by answering a question, and that question is, why do most people never build wealth? I think it often comes down to falling into one or more common traps. For example, a lack of financial education. Like myself, a lot of people were never taught how to make their money work for them. A lot of people were not taught how to invest and build wealth. And if you're like me and you didn't learn it at home and you didn't learn it in school, where are we supposed to learn it? Another trap is a scarcity mindset. If you have never seen anyone in your close circle build wealth and see that it's possible, it's hard to believe it's possible for yourself. So a lot of people do have a scarcity mindset, so much so that they don't even try. They don't think it's possible to make more money, to invest and build wealth, to build businesses, to thrive beyond their current situation. And because of that, it blocks them from even trying by taking any actions whatsoever. And also another trap people tend to fall into is short-term thinking. Because of limited resources, or sometimes people have resources and still do this, but it's because spending money today always takes priority over saving for tomorrow and into the future. Realistically, a lot of us get taught a very traditional narrative in society, which is that we have to get an education, even if it means taking on debt. We have to get a good job and rely on that job for our single source of income. And then we work hard until retirement. And then at some point when we're older, we'll be able to chill. Now, the problem I have with this one narrow path is it doesn't guarantee financial freedom. It actually keeps a lot of people stuck, and you got to think about that entire working life. Are you going to be happy in that working life? Are you going to be able to have the wealth to live the lifestyle you want to live? Or are you always going to be struggling? So here's the good news that I have for you, especially for you beginners who want to build wealth and who want to take that next step. The good news is that it is possible to build wealth, even if you're starting from scratch, even if you're starting from very little knowledge around investing. And that's why I'm making this video more about how important it is to reframe your mindset. So let's talk about shifting from an earning mindset to an investing mindset. So growing up for me, I was taught that traditional path, which was go to school, get good job. Why am I talking like a caveman? And then work hard and save. This was the path that I was taught, and it was the path that I followed for a very long time. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong if you are on this path right now. But if wealth is your goal, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about, what is the path that you were taught? What is the path that somebody at some point in your life told you, this is what you have to do in order to become successful? Maybe yours looks like mine. Maybe it is slightly different. Maybe yours is very highly specific, like you were told, oh, you got to become a doctor or a lawyer or something. Now, I want you to think about, where did it come from? Did this narrative come from your parents or society? Was this what your parents did or the opposite of what they did? There's no right or wrong answer here. Yours might look different from mine. All I want to do here is build an awareness, because building this awareness is the first step towards reframing your mindset to move into a wealth building and investing mindset. So for me, this path came from my parents. Like I mentioned earlier, they were in survival mode. They didn't have many options. This was the best path for them. And naturally, this is the path that they taught me. Now, I'm not even going to lie. Following this path actually worked for me to some extent. Now, I did go to school. I went to college and grad school, which is great and all, got some degrees, but I did rack up $70,000 in loans. So I started off adulthood in debt, like many people do. Now, I did eventually get a good job, but my first job started out making $29,000 a year until I worked my way up to six figures pretty quickly in my 20s. But let's acknowledge that sometimes that takes some luck to get that too. You can work really hard and not work your way up that quickly. And then eventually, I just kept working hard, and then there's actually more to this. I saved money, bought a house, sold the house, and made a profit off of that house. So there were some things that I would say in my traditional narrow path that worked out for me. But what I want you to know is that I had to shift my worldview from this to this, that you make money so that you can invest it. All right, so this is what I mean when I say shift from an earning mindset to an investing mindset. It doesn't mean you're replacing it completely, because you're still going to need to make money. You're not just going to all of a sudden be wealthy tomorrow. But rather than thinking of your career and your life in terms of, all right, what job should I have? Like, where should I work? What industry do I want to be in? You can do all those things, but you want to shift into, how can I make money? You know, doing something I love, doing something that I enjoy, but making money and using as much of that money as I can to invest. Because when you do this, this is going to open up the door for being able to craft your life in whichever way you want. It changes whether or not you even have to work hard, right? If you invest enough and you build up your wealth in different ways, you may be able to shift your life into a phase where you don't have to work hard because you have passive income, or you have portfolio income, or you only have to work part-time, or maybe you don't work a 9-to-5, but you run a business where you're kind of hands-off. Or if you love working, keep working. It's fine. I just want you to know that as a beginner starting out your wealth journey, that the whole goal is to focus more on building your wealth so that your wealth can open up opportunities and how you make decisions in life, versus having all of your life decisions be influenced by your job or things that are more out of your control. So let's say you are on board. You are like, all right, Lissa, yes, I have a job. Yes, I'm earning money and I'm able to support my lifestyle. And now I'm starting to save more. I want to invest more. What do I do? What is next? Well, let me introduce the concept, what I call wealth building activities. All right, here is a diagram that if you've watched other videos of mine, you may have already seen, but this is how I visualize building wealth. So you clicked on this video because you're a beginner, you want to build wealth, you want to shift into that investing mindset. Here, let me show you why most people logistically, we already talked about the traps earlier in this video, but logistically, why most people never end up building wealth. That's because most people make money. So that your cash flow is basically your money that comes in versus your money that goes out. So think about how much money you make on a monthly basis. So in a given month, you make some money and you spend some money. And in an ideal world, if you're managing your money well, you spend less than you make, so you have extra. In order to build wealth, what you want to be doing with this extra money is using it towards what I call wealth building activities. And that includes buying assets and paying down liabilities. You probably already do this naturally. Paying down liabilities means paying off debts. So if you think about it, if you have extra money, right, because you make a certain amount of money and you don't spend it all, you have extra. What a lot of people end up doing is they end up just spending that extra money, right? So then this out column goes up, and then they have less and less that they can use towards building their net worth. Your net worth is the technical definition of wealth. So your net worth is comprised of your assets minus your liabilities. Assets are anything that you own that has value. Liabilities are any money that you owe. It's your debts. If every time you have extra money, you use it towards buying more assets or reducing your debts, your liabilities, what you're doing is you're widening this gap, which is your net worth. So this is your actual net worth, right? So anytime you have extra money on a month-to-month basis, if you have extra money and you save it, that actually counts towards this asset column. But what you ultimately want to do is invest. Because when you invest in assets, those assets, just as an example, let's say you buy a rental property, or let's say you have vending machines. Like, it can be anything that can generate money. It can be stocks. If you use your money towards anything that can generate more money, then this will keep growing on its own. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to keep putting more in. You will keep putting more in because that's going to help accelerate this, but this is going to keep growing and growing and growing. So what you want to do is to consistently, and for those of you who want to retire early, what they do is they find ways to make more money, they find ways to spend less money, and then they find ways to have even more that they can use towards these things. And then here's the fun part, is when you dedicate yourself to this process, eventually you'll pay off all your debt, right? You'll have no more debt. So now your net worth is this whole bar. Your assets will equal your net worth. That doesn't mean you won't ever take out debt in the future if it makes sense strategically, but that is the goal. You're just gonna keep building up this column, and it's not by saving little increments, it's by investing in assets that are gonna keep growing when you don't even have to keep feeding it. Then eventually this becomes your cash flow, which now we're getting into intermediate stuff, so I won't even go there. But the reason I like using a diagram whenever I teach workshops and things like that is, at least for me, I'm more visual, but it's like, all right, I know what it looks like. It solidifies what I gotta do. I gotta live within my means, use as much of my extra money as possible towards the actions that are gonna build my wealth. And those actions can mean saving, investing, and paying down debt. All those things are gonna increase your net worth. All right, before I wrap this video, I do know that most people who click into wealth building videos or investing videos, they want to learn about the stock market. So I'm going to talk to you about the stock market in a little bit more of a conceptual point of view, because I just don't want to make this video about it at all. When we are talking about purchasing assets here, all right, assets are anything of value. And the reason they have, so I'll give you an example, a house, right? You know that a house has value. Why does it have value? Because if you have a house, it has value because someone else is willing to pay for it because it can provide a roof over their heads, or it can be an investment for them. Whatever the case, a house typically has value. Now, if you were to purchase a house, not only does the house itself have value, but it has two potential ways to grow in value. One, appreciation. Appreciation is when the value of that house goes up. So, you buy a house, maybe in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it's worth more than it was when you bought it. That's because someone is willing to pay that amount. So over time, it can appreciate, and that value will help your assets column appreciate. But more importantly, the house also has the potential to bring in income. So think about buying a house that you don't live in and you rent it out. That money that you're getting from your renters is income. So that income, without you having to do anything, yes, you need a property manager or whatever, but that is going to keep growing your assets column. So I wanted to use a house as an example because a lot of people understand the concept of a house. A house you can see, you can touch, you can feel. We all live in houses, so we know that there's utility and value to it. If you're new to investing altogether, I don't expect this to make sense the first time, but what you need to know is a house and other physical things that are tangible. These are assets. They're considered real assets, R-E-A-L, real. And real assets are, for the most part, characterized by the fact that you can touch them, feel them, see them. What exists in our world, in our economy, are intangible assets. They're assets that have value, that have the potential to appreciate, that have the potential to bring in income. They have value just like a house does, but you can't touch them, see them, or feel them. A stock is an example of that. Bonds are an example of that. Cryptocurrency is an example of that. These are things that you cannot see, touch, or feel, but they have value because others are willing to pay for that value. So I hope I'm not confusing you even more when it comes to investing, but if you walk away with nothing else from this video, I want you to know that building wealth is possible. You have to shift from an earning mindset to an investing mindset and set yourself up to eventually start investing. Now, there are other things you should be doing before you start investing. I talk about them in all my other videos. For example, like getting your emergency fund in place, paying down high interest debt, things like that. But once you are ready, you are going to want to start investing and shift into that mindset where investing becomes your means of building wealth. And finally, walk away knowing that to invest, what you're doing is you're purchasing assets. As you continue on this journey, you're going to learn more about what assets are, what financial assets are, how they're even created, how they work, how do you buy them, how do you own them, how do you know if they're going to go up and down in value. All those things are things you're going to learn eventually, but all you need to know as a beginner is to invest. What you're doing is purchasing assets. And in the financial world, yes, you can buy real estate, which is a real asset, but a lot of times what people are talking about are these things you can't touch and feel, which again, the first time you learn about this stuff, it's hard to grasp, literally hard to grasp because there's nothing to grasp, it's intangible. But be easy on yourself. If you don't understand it the first time, learn about it again and again and again and again until it makes sense and until you're confident to invest yourself. I'll keep talking about it on my channel, so I'm one resource, but keep at it. You can understand it and you can build wealth. I truly believe it. So I hope this video was helpful in some way. I was kind of a little all over the place because I went off script to do my little diagrams, but I'm hoping that the visual helped a little bit. All right, until next time, peace out.